Okay. We're live on Instagram or on Facebook as well.
Awesome. We're live on Facebook as well. And I am going to be joined by Kimberly in just a second as soon as Instagram accepts the invitation. There you are, my friend.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. Okay. So you talk for a second while
Okay.
I um, find,
Yes.
while I
So
join us.
so today is episode number 97, and we are going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. So it is, we are introducing the 38 East collection, and it is a fabric collection that us here at WindowWorks, we did in collaboration with Comfort Text. So this was a project that I worked on during the shutdown when everyone was at home and everything else. So this is what my little this was my quarantine baby. So everyone was out having real babies, and I made a fabric collection. That's what I joke, because that's what I joke. Everyone was out, having kids after, we're still going through the pandemic, but once we all kind of were emerging from our homes, they're like, "Oh, what did you do?" I'm like, "I'm not a fabric collection."
You
So,
birthed another baby.
yeah.
So,
So
Kim, tell us, this is super exciting. I
yeah.
know this has been, like you said, in the works for the last 2 years, maybe even a
Hmm.
little longer. And truly, for anyone who has ever designed something like this, you would know most of us have not, neither have I. So, but I have birthed two babies in
Yeah.
my life. So I'm thinking it's something very similar to that. But let's start from the beginning. How did it all start? Why did it start? Why did it happen? Like, give us some context for how it all came about.
So when Comfort, we had a meeting here at WindowWorks with the team at Comfort Text, and Luann just kind of threw it out there because they do. If you go onto the Comfort Text Color Lux line, they do have designer collections from other designers, and she just threw it out there like, "What if we designed a line?" And not even asking me, just kind of like, and they were like, "Yeah, maybe let's figure it out." And when the meeting was done, she looked at
Mhm.
me, she was like, "Is this something that like you could do?" And I said, "That's something that I've always had on my vision board that I've always wanted to do." And she's like, "I didn't know that." I'm like, "So this is great." So when it came through on the design process, um, what I did was I sketched a lot of different images and worked really close with the design team, Mike and Julie over at Comfort Text, and they brought my designs to life essentially. And where I got a lot of the inspiration for everything was through my Portuguese roots. So
Mhm.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I'm first generation born in this country. All of my family was, prior to me being born, was born in Portugal. So
Mhm.
my parents actually came here in the late 60s.
Mhm.
So I wanted to kind of pay homage to my roots and what I know. So I always thought if I were ever going to design a fabric collection, I would pull inspiration from my Portuguese roots. And I went back to photographs that I've been taking since I was like 12 years old. So
Mhm.
I would often, when we would travel to Lisbon and visit, I took a lot of pictures. So I just kind of dived into all my archive of photos and pulled a lot of inspiration from the architecture, from different elements. So a lot of the names, there's, a name like Augusta, that pattern was designed after there's a street in Lisbon called the Rua Augusta. So that
Mhm.
pattern has a lot of pretty cobblestones, and that design actually is right here. So you could kind of see it in bigger
Oh,
form.
so pretty. Mhm.
So this fabric here is called Augusta, and this is in the leaf color. And so that's kind of where the whole backstory of where the patterns came from and where their inspiration came from on the patterns.
Awesome. So I know that we have a slide with the different
Yes.
patterns. So talk us through these.
So there are 9 colorways and there are 14 patterns. Now, if you're
Mhm.
looking at the collection, some of the patterns may look very similar. When I approached the design of this collection, I approached it as someone who does window treatments for a living. So there are often times where we have clients that love a pattern, but it's either too small in scale for imagining, those double high 2-story drapes. And if you have a pattern that's really tiny, it's really not going to do the drape justice because it's such a tiny pattern. So,
Mhm.
for example, like the Augusta pattern, when we were going through the design process. I really liked it in its big form like
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have it in a smaller form, so in a smaller scale. So the cool
Very
thing
nice.
about that is I looked at it as like, how would it look in a Roman shade? How would it look as a larger drapery panel, smaller panels? So I approached it in that sense. So there are a couple different patterns that you can get in large and smaller scale.
And so, do you envision, Kim, designers and window treatment pros using the same pattern but in the different scale in the same room? Like,
You
for example, using a larger scale in the drape and a smaller scale in the pillow or an ottoman recover or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could, and it's something that it could, and it's the same, but also when you're looking at it in the different scales, it also looks different. So I know we
Mm,
often play with how much pattern can you really use in a room.
yep.
So that's the beauty part of it is that even though the patterns do look similar, because the scale is so blown up, it's not as it's not as close
Right.
in
Okay.
terms of the pattern.
So again, repeat for us. It is how many patterns?
So it is 9 colorways and 14 patterns.
9 colorways in 14 patterns, and every pattern is available in every colorway.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
So the cool
Very good.
thing about Comfort Text is the other thing that I also brought in Comfort Text and their Color Lux program. So if you are a window treatment um, specialist or an interior designer that has an account with Comfort Text, you know prior that the Color Lux collection offered a couple of ground fabrics that the fabrics can get printed on. It was a linen, a sateen, and then I think a hold on, I have it right here, a sateen matte.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were talking about through the design process about the weight of the fabrics and everything else, I presented to the team. I said, you know what? I think we're missing the mark. We need just like a kind of like a higher end, like faux linen. And
Mm-hmm.
so we found a faux linen that we all really liked. And so when you go to the collection, it's called Luxe Linen.
Okay.
So it's not a real linen, it's a poly. So it's made to look.
Excellent. I love
Yes,
that.
yes.
I love
You know
that.
me. I'm not
And
going to
yes,
print.
anything that looks like linen
Yes,
but actually behaves like a normal
yes,
fabric and not a petulant child. I love that.
yeah. So you could see here how it has the hatch marks
Mm-hmm.
of, so let's look at it actually on the back because that's a little bit
Mm-hmm.
easier.
Mm-hmm.
So the cool thing about the fabric is it is printed on to, so it basically is, it's a bunch of white rolls of fabric like so. And then it goes through a printing process and then the pattern gets printed right onto the fabric. So that's kind of the new way that things are going right now. So what's interesting about that is you never really have to worry about dye lot because it's
Ah,
all getting
okay.
printed on to the fabric.
Versus
And
getting woven in the fabric
correct,
and
correct.
having the dyelet of the different fibers,
Right,
the
because
difference in dyelet in the fibers.
right, because how it gets printed right off of the computer, it's the
Hmm.
same. It's the same colors and everything else.
Every time.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep. So that's a really unique part about it. So this is just kind of like a little bit of a screen grab of it.
Hmm.
Now, if you are a Comfort Text dealer, the fabrics are booked in 3 books here. So
Okay.
I'm just going to show. This is the one book that I was showing you. So this book has 3 colorways, and the other cool thing that we did in the back was coordinate some solids with it.
Ah, okay.
So we have some
Excellent.
solids that like this
That's great.
solid
That's such a good
here.
idea.
Yeah, so this solid here coordinates with the color in here.
Hmm.
So I was very specific when we were talking through. I said, you know, when I'm working with clients and they're like, I wish we had a blue solid that matches that stripe right there.
Right,
So that's
right,
what we
right,
did.
right.
So
And
what
then you
I,
have to go to like all of your solid fabrics and look for just that perfect blue that matches that
right.
little stripe, and it never works. And you're like, lady, you're not gonna get the exact match, but you have to coordinate it. It's okay. We don't want to be matchy matchy.
Yeah.
Come
So
up with all sorts of stories.
it's all about that and whatnot. And the cool thing is it comes in 3 books. So this is the set here. And you can get your set if you're a Comfort Text dealer, 3 sets here. And if you're not a Comfort Text dealer and you want samples, we can totally order you samples. That's
Hmm.
fine. They come in and they look like so. And the other cool thing about this that I don't think a lot of people know is not only is it available through the Color Lux program, through the Drapery program that ComfortTex offers, but you could also get it printed on roller shade material.
That's
So
really cool. That
the
is really, really cool.
so the interesting part about that is oftentimes, I don't know about you, Vita, but when I'm working with clients and they're talking about kids' rooms and they don't want to spend a lot of money in a kids' room, they don't want to go for that Roman shade. But then when you often look for roller shades, it's pretty plain. You have your
Yeah.
textures and things like that. So the cool part is that you can print all the patterns on roller shade material. So you can see this is a little bit of a stiffer material here.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also print it on blackout. So you could have this cool fabric on or this cool pattern on a blackout material. And the other thing that's interesting as well is you can print them on solar screen materials. So,
So there could be either solar shades or
mhm,
they could be kind of designer shades. And solar meaning that you can. I have never seen that before. I've only
yeah.
seen solars being, those basic solid
Hmm.
little holes everywhere,
Yep.
and that's it. I've never seen a pattern on a solar screen. That's brand new. That's new information even to me, Kim.
There you go. So yeah, so it's pretty cool that you can get them printed. And then the interesting thing is then you can have it done on a solar screen and then you can order a cornice if you wanted and things like that. Not that you would order a cornice from ComfortTex Vita, but you have the ability and flexibility to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all the ways that you can get stuff through ComfortTex. And you'd have to have an account directly with them, and then you can order your samples. You could ask your ComfortTex rep for how to get the books, or if you do have an account with ComfortTex and and you need some more information and some help, and you don't know who your rep is, let me know because then I can put you into contact with my contacts over at ComfortTex, and then this way
Mm-hmm.
they can set you up with whoever your rep is in that area. So
Perfect.
that's
Okay.
one way to get the 3080s collection. The
Okay. Very
second
good.
way to get the 3080s collection is on our WindowWorks website, and it's called Shop 38 East. Because in the shutdown, there was another thing that Luann and I were thinking about, something that we've often thought about a lot, actually. And it comes down to ready-made panels. And I know people are probably thinking, ready-made panels, how can you guys, window treatment company talking about ready-made panels? But you do sometimes have those clients that, again, for the non-priority rooms, that they want to do window treatments, but they don't want to go the whole custom route. But,
Mm-hmm.
if you get ready-made panels from online or from the bigger box stores, I'm not going to say who, but they come in lengths that just don't make sense. They're stupid
Sit
lengths.
down.
I'm just going to put it out there. So the lengths are usually like, you know, with
86 inches.
86 inches, 96 inches, and like 108, which is absolutely ridiculous because anytime you do anything at 86 inches or
You become below the window.
yeah, it's either on the molding or not 80, it's 84 inches.
Mm-hmm.
84 inches. So what we did was we came up with an idea and we call it custom ready. And so what
Okay.
custom ready means is you can get window treatments that are near the price of ready made, but at custom drapery lengths. So at Shop 38 East, we offer three lengths for the drapery panels. They're 87 inches, 92 inches, and 105 inches. So you don't have to go through the chore of let me buy panels off the shelf, hang up my rod, figure out what the length is. Okay, great. Now take them to a seamstress and tell her to cut 4 inches
Mm-hmm.
off your panels so that they fit. They already come ready for you to fit. And they're offered now that we only offer more of like a stationary application. So they're offered in three widths of 20
Okay.
inches wide, 32 inches wide, and 40 inches wide.
Okay.
So now if you have smaller windows,
Mm-hmm.
these panels may be able to fit to draw to close, But anything like if you have a double window, these are more meant to be more of like a decorative application, not necessarily panels that, are fully operable and fully functional. But yeah, you can order swatches
And where do
online.
people order swatches from? From you guys?
So yeah, so there is a shop. What you can do is you can go to shop38east.com. Let me just pull up the website. Hold on one second to make sure I have
And while you
information.
do that, for people who
Mhm,
just joined us, I want to give you a recap of where we are and what we're talking about today. So today's topic, actually, let me even step back a
mhm,
little further. If you are watching us for the first time, my name is Vita of Vitalia Inc. Window Treatments, and this is my partner Kim Seraphim of
mhm.
Window Works, New Jersey. And we hang out here every Friday morning from 9-ish until about 11:30-ish. And we take a window treatment topic apart, put it back together. We geek out on all things window treatments, from the types of pleat to the type of fabric to the type of application to the projection of the board to the lift system, you name it. We've been doing it for almost 2 years, and we are coming up on our 100th episode. This was episode number 97, and
97.
today we're talking about a very special topic, very near and dear to Kim's heart, because it is a collection of fabrics that she personally designed. She partnered with Comfortex, which is a very big brand in the window treatment industry, to bring this collection to life. And where we are so far is if you are a designer, you can have access to all of these fabrics. There are 14 patterns, 9 colorways, 3 types of fabrics, all booked into 3 books that you can get from Comfortex. Or if you have not so much of a custom type customer, but more of a ready-made customer, there's a way for you to get ready-made panels through shop38east.com. And that's what you were just checking on,
Yep,
Kim.
then that's correct. And the interesting thing too is if you do have a workroom, and if you do use a workroom like Vita and whatnot, you're also able to order this fabric by the yard. You have that flexibility too. So if you want to make pillows or whatever it is, you do have that flexibility to just order the fabric by the yard. And on the Shop 38 East website, we do have trade pricing now. So if you're interested in setting up a trade account, because that was one of the things in talking with designers and really doing our research, you do have the ability to sign up and get your design trade discount. So that's another thing too.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And so, Kim, can you put up the panel again in
sure.
the
Let me
Augusta collection? I just want to show it again to all of our viewers who have recently joined us, so that you can see how one of Kim's patterns looks in a drapery panel. I mean, you can see that it is very updated. It has that geometric feel and look. It is just totally cool. That's something different that you don't see in a lot of other fabric books and fabric companies. And surely there's lots of fabric companies out there, and we love our Stouts, and we love our Kravitz, and we love a lot of other people out there. But for Kim to actually design this from scratch is really quite unbelievable. And if you take a look at either Comfortex or shop38east.com, you'll see that a lot of these patterns are very unique and really very updated, modern in certain aspects, but really updated is the word that comes to mind, because they're applicable in a lot of the transitional type of decors and situations that we're all faced with right now, at least here in the Northeast where we
yeah.
are.
And then here's another pattern too. This is the Tempest pattern. This is one of my favorites. I mean, I don't really have a favorite, but
It's
um,
like picking a favorite
I
child, Kim. You
know,
can't.
I know, I know, I know. It's hard, but this is one of my faves. It just kind of reminds me of like that kind of watercolor kind of trend. And
Mhm,
I also, you know me, I like to do things a little different, turning
mhm.
a stripe on its side,
Yes.
kind of making it look a little different, which is really cool. So yeah. So I know on the Comfortex website they offer a bunch of different pleat options.
Mhm,
So if you do have an account with Comfortex, you do have different options in terms of the pleat.
mhm.
Um, on Shop
Tell us
30,
again, Kim, how designers and or window treatment pros and or workrooms can get the books.
sure. So there are two ways that you can get the books. The first is if you have an account with Comfort Text, please reach out to your rep and tell them that you would like a set of books. The cool thing about how we designed the books was I didn't want it to feel like you're just bringing, another window treatment blind book out. I really wanted it to feel like it's something that can sit on your shelf with other fabric books. So that's why it is designed like a fabric book that you would see from Cravat or Stout and whatnot. And it has the sizing was really important to me because fitting it on the shelf with other size books, that was
Yes.
another thing. So it's not like this weird shape. So it
Uh-huh.
will fit on the shelf. Ours we usually have in the front because we want it to be
Of
the first thing that
course.
you see. But yeah, so if I were to pop it back here on the shelf back here, it would fit
Mhm.
there perfectly.
Nice.
So you are able to get the fabric books through your Comfort Text rep. So if
Hmm.
you have a rep, please reach out to them. Or if you do not have a rep and you do not have an account, but you would like the books, reach out to us. And we can set you up with a set of books if you're interested in selling through the Shop 38 East collection or the Shop 38 East website. Because if you are a designer and you're like, I'm not about to open a window treatment, an account with a window treatment company or vendor, rather, this is very easy. The way we designed the Shop 30 East website. So if you want a set of books to show your clients, we could definitely chat about on how you can get a set of books as well.
That's awesome, Kim. I am so proud of you for
Thank
doing this.
you.
I mean, this is really remarkable. I could not possibly even fathom designing anything in my life. That's why I'm in the window treatment world and I'm servicing the trade. I'm engineering for them. I'm the product knowledge person for them. I mean, that's what Vitalia Inc. is. But we are definitely not doing any kind of design, trying to stay away from it, but also take it even to the next level of designing fabrics and fabric patterns. I mean, that's totally rad. That's next
Yeah,
level.
thank you. Thank you. It was definitely like I was said in the beginning, if
Labor
you're
of
just
love.
going, yeah, it was a labor of love. Everyone during the shutdown and the beginning of the pandemic was out having babies. I had a fabric baby.
And so tell us, what have you heard from the designers? What kind of feedback are you getting? Tell us
They're
about the
really loving the
success of this.
collection. They're really loving the collection so far. They love how the versatility of it, the colors, the fact that some patterns are done in two different scales is pretty interesting. They love. I know. I was speaking to another at the EW meeting, the Exciting Windows
Exciting.
conference that we had in April. I was speaking to another window treatment vendor who's very similar to what we do here at Window Works. And what they liked about the books, that the fabric books were done in this way, was it didn't feel like when they go to a higher end client, if they were presenting this, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm taking something out of a blind book kind of thing.
Mm,
It made it
yes,
feel
yes,
like
yes.
I picked
Meaning that there's some blind companies that do have some fabrics in
right.
their repertoire, but they are not as high end. They're not as sophisticated in their design or their feel or the sample book presentation.
Yeah, so they what they were liking was the way that it was the way the sample book presents, and that they could bring it along with them with
Mhm.
other fabric books, and it's something that they really can do. I have a lot of um, there's one company down in Maryland, Beltway Blinds, that they've never sold drapes before. They literally sell blinds, but we've developed a window treatment program for them because of the way of how easy it is to order on the Comfort Text website. The window
Okay.
treatments, the window treatment aspect of it. So, if you are a window treatment specialist out there and you just specialize in blinds and you really want to get into drapes and you're kind of afraid to do it,
Mhm.
it seems it can feel intimidating. Give us a call. I'd be happy to help you out because it is, when you're ordering it on the Comfort Text website, it is pretty easy. It's like ordering
So
a blind.
what I'm hearing is, if I were to summarize this,
Mhm.
not only have you designed a custom collection of fabric patterns and
Mhm.
colors, which is in and of itself is amazing, but you're also giving three different options in which the trade can take advantage of it. Option number one is for anyone who orders cut yardage and wants to have anything made out of it, long drape, short drape, a cornice, a valance, an upholstery piece, a headboard, whatever it may be. So people like myself, for example, if I were to present it to one of my designers or one of our clients, we can order as many yards as we want and make whatever out of it as we want. So that's option number one. Option number two, if you are a company that is not as versed in fabricating custom window treatments, you can still use your fabric and your colorway pattern and go on to comfortex.com and order draperies from them and have it made by Comfortex.
Correct. Yep. They have a
That's
workroom.
option number two. That's right. And then option number three is if you don't want to get into any kind of fabrication whatsoever, and you just want the drapery panel to be ready-made for you, you can go on to shop38east.com and have these drapery panels that have already been pre-made shipped to you to get installed at your customer. And those come in 3 lengths and 3 widths.
Correct. Now, the panels aren't pre-made; they are made to order, but they will ship out in about 3 to 4 weeks. So that's the nice part. Yeah. So that's the whole custom ready aspect of it. That's why I coined the term custom ready, because they're ready to go when you get them out of the box, but you can get them in custom sizes, and it's not that whole. You don't have to wait the long lead time of it. So so they are made to order. When you do come to the Shop 38 East, you place your order, then we do our thing on the back end, and then the panels get shipped directly to you.
Yeah, that's really exciting that you can either take it from one extreme to the other. You can make whatever you want out of it, from cut yardage to have it be ready made specifically for you in predetermined sizes. So there's not a whole lot of thinking and design, and therefore not a lot of room for mistake either.
Right.
And that in addition to soft treatments, we can also use your patterns and styles and colorways in roller shades, and not only in translucent and blackout roller shades, but also in either designer style shades or sunscreen style shades, which is really, in my mind, that is like a total, like, my head is blown. I mean, not that there isn't enough already to get my head blown from this, but somehow the fact that you were able to get a pattern, a color, and so custom made by you onto a sunscreen shade and can see through it, like my brain just went
Yeah, I give it up to the design team over at Comfortex, because when they sent me the samples of them on the roller shades, I was really surprised when I saw the solar screen. I was like, oh, we can have patterned solar screens. It can be done. So it's not only the 38 East collection that can be done, all of the Color Lux patterns that you see can be done, but Shop 38 East collection.
Very cool. Kim, kudos to you. This is so amazing. I am so proud of you for doing it. I personally could never, ever fathom doing it. I just couldn't. And the fact that I know you before you're super rich and famous, in 10 years, I can say I knew Kim when she was a baby designer. I love it. Tell us again how our designers and window treatment workrooms and or blind companies, retailers, anyone who does any kind of work in the window treatment industry or design industry, how can we order these?
Okay, so you could get it at 2 places. You can go to shop38east.com, where you can get the ready-made panels and also cut yardage if you are an interior designer. And if you have a Comfortex account, this is part of the Color Lux collection. So you could order it the same way you would be ordering any of the Color Lux patterns and brands that they have there. So you could go there. If you do not have an account with Color Lux, or you do have an account and you're not sure who your rep is, and if you have any questions, reach out to us and I'd be happy to set you up with someone over at Comfortex that could help you out.
Kim, congrats on this. This is just remarkable. Again, so proud, so very, very proud. You're amazing. You're a remarkable woman for doing this. So you can officially say you've had your first baby.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I can finally stop saying you need to have a baby because you already have one.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, this is our episode. Today was on 38 East Collection, something that Kim had created from scratch. And obviously, this was a labor of love. And we're just going to finish our episode today, that we finish it every Friday by sharing some of our free gifts with you. From Vitalia Inc., you have a free curated lookbook filled with inspiration and education. We call it 37 and a half window treatment ideas that you can swipe, steal, and use immediately on your next design project. You can get yours at vitaliainc.com.
And if you are new to the window treatment game and you just really need a starting point, Luann wrote an ebook, Architectural Digest Isn't Coming, 10 Things You Need to Know About Custom Window Treatments. Head on over to windowworksnj.com where you can download your free copy.
Awesome.
And to keep up with all things Miss Luann, because she has a lot of exciting things happening, head on over to luannigara.com where you can listen to a well-designed business podcast. You could also listen to her new podcast where Vita is one of the guest hosts. So you want to talk about your little guest spot?
I am very excited about this new podcast that Luann started. It is called Window Treatments for Profit, and I am honored and privileged to have a recurring guest host seat every Thursday. You tune into Window Treatment for Profit, and you will see a new episode from me. It is a series that we call Vita's Tip in 10. And every week I am queued up in your inbox with a new short but mighty tip on how to run your window treatment business better. Be that productivity, efficiency, a little bit of mindset, a little bit of inspiration. That's what I'm there for you. And this past episode, I have to tell you, was one of my favorites. It is something that I've shared, something personal, slightly embarrassing, and also very practical. So head on over Window Treatment for Profit wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Perfect. Alrighty, and if you want to learn more about 38 East, please reach out to us on either on Instagram at WindowWorks, Facebook at WindowWorks, or send us an email at info@windowworksnj.com. I would be happy to go over any details or any questions that you may have about the collection.
Awesome. I can't wait to start using it as well, Kim. I do have the books. And if you are in the Philadelphia area and you're an interior designer who is looking for some first class support with your window treatment game, we are that company. We are your go-to resource, your concierge level, white glove level service exclusively for luxury interior designers ready to fly first class in the world of window treatments. Please DM, PM me, call me, email us. We're happy to support you.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, that concludes today's episode. We hope you enjoyed this introduction into 38 East, and we cannot wait to see you next Friday, because if it's Friday,
it's Window Treatment Friday Live, WTF Live. We're here every Friday at 9 o'clock. Join us.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.